Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of the ITSM Crowd. This is ITSM Zone's regular get-together with members of our team mentor. So these are the people who provide mentor services to our training delegates from across the world. Today on the Hangout we've got Karren Ferris joining us from Australia. We've got Mohamad, Sibai, we've got Patricia, and we've got Suresh GP. And our topic today is going to be IT service management and people. So we're going to be talking about people skills, talking about what we need to be successful people in IT service management, and just sharing some hints and tips based on our experience as well. My name's Claire Agutter. I'm the lead tutor for ITSM Zone. And first of all, I'm going to ask all of our participants to tell us a little bit about themselves. So, working from left to right on my screen, Karren, if we can start with you, please.
Yeah, hi Claire, thanks for inviting me to take part today. So, as you said, I'm based out of Melbourne, Australia. I'm an IT service management consultant and director of Mercator Consulting. And in my many years in IT service management, since around 1994, I think it was. I've been a trainer, manager, practitioner, and consultant.
Thank you very much. Mohamad.
Yeah, hi, good day. I'm living in Saudi Arabia, actually. I provide, I'm a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering. I work currently in a company called Softway, mainly dedicated for ITSM consultation services with minor implementation services with different brands. Actually, I'm in the ITSM field since like 13 years ago.
Fantastic, thank you. Patricia? Have we still got you, Patricia? Are you on mute?
I've lost you. And if you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so is it my time to introduce myself because I couldn't hear what's going on?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm Patricia Speltincx, coming from Belgium. And okay, I'm in ITSM for 15 years now, ITIL expert, consultant, trainer. I've been an examiner. Well, I've done it all. And the last 5-6 years, I've turned into more people activities. So I'm now an accredited coach, and I've studied a lot around that, around how to add people skills, how to change the culture in order to make it all work. Because for me, the biggest difficulty was around people and not around process.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And Suresh?
Hi, thanks Claire again, and thanks everybody. See, we have literally 5 nationalities from different continents. Great to be here. My name is Suresh GP. I'm a consultant, service management consultant, practitioner, trainer. I'm also the managing director for Top Solutions, a small company that have gone out last year. I've been also a board of director for ITSM of India, and I enjoy these conversations and discussions. Recently, I've become regional manager for Gaming Works, so we do a lot of business innovations, which brings out attitude, behavior, cultural aspects in the dynamics of service management. So I'm quite keen and very passionate about this people topic, and can't get better to discuss this in this forum.
Fantastic, thank you very much. The reason I introduced this topic of IT service management and people for today's Hangout is because when I've been looking across the service management guidance that's available to us, it does seem to have a huge amount of focus on processes, there's a huge amount of focus on technology, but not so much focus on people and on the skills that we need. If we think about the training that's available to us, there isn't so much that is specifically about the people side of ITSM. So the first question really I thought we would discuss is, why is the people side of things the neglected part of IT service management when really is so important in order for a project to be successful. So I guess maybe Patricia, if we can start with you.
Yeah, well, I think that it's not only ITSM that we have that phenomenon. I think that people is the neglected part in business nowadays. And maybe even more in anything linked in any way to technology, because we are just technical geeks and that's what we like. So if you read the ITL books, you have a lot about technology, well, not too much about technology, a lot about processes, because that's what we were excited about at the time. We thought that that would be the answer to everything. I don't think people who wrote it or professionals in ITSM could get the difficulty of working with people. It was, at the time, even for me, it was not an issue. We were living with other people, so it was just natural to be with other people. What I realized further then is that it's not true. You need to learn how to behave with other people, how to get the best out of other people, how you work yourself, how to, yeah, how really to work with others. It's not as natural as we think.
Yeah, I think that's very true. What about everybody else? Why do we think that the people side of things is maybe the side of service management that gets the least attention?
I think the ITIL books were designed to, to focus on process. There is a little bit about in-service transition, about some of the challenges they'll face, but I think as ITSM practitioners, we tend to, I think there's two reasons, is we don't actually appreciate the complexity to take people on a change journey that it is, because every person that you're dealing with is different, and we often make the assumption that we have an initiative or a bright idea and we think everybody else is going to get on board because we think it's a really good idea, and we don't understand the change journey that individuals have to go on. And I think it often gets ignored because it's hard. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort. It's not just about communications and telling people what we're going to do, it's actually taking people on a change journey, and that can be an arduous but very satisfying journey to go on if it's done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, the way I look at it is organizations are looking people as a kind of a factory model. Now, you have a service desk manager, you have an incident manager, you have a problem manager, you are supposed to do this one. And what happens typically, and the kind of things that we're talking in IT, is IT comes into the limelight when something is not working. So when the project goes into disaster, some things, kind of an escalation comes in, then the attention focuses on people. And we've always been butchering around people, saying that people are always mischievous, they don't do it right way, and other stuff. So the appreciative element has gone drastically down. So we haven't given people the kind of due respect. So my point is that we have to start respecting people as human beings. They are not factory models, they are not robots. They have some emotions to do that. When you start looking at from those perspectives, there's a sea of change that will happen. Today, unfortunately, organizations are looking at, okay, I want to get this done, get so many FTEs, build them up, and then get it done. So I think that needs to have a paradigm shift in the way we work across.
Yeah, from my side.
What's your experience been, Mohamad, of people side of ITSM?
From my point of view, I think the problem starts by defining the ownership of ITSM service as a job description. Where does it start? Does it start from the VP IT level? Does it start from the CIO level? From president level could be, or maybe from just IT? This is number one. Well, this is actually mainly cascaded by the organizational structure. Number two, it's about the empowerment of that specific role. And by defining the empowerment, I mean to what level or to what extent you can push people to follow the processes, and to what extent the other side, actually, you have to be flexible with the people to accept their feedback. Third point, which is mainly actually affecting the overall cycle, is the communication. Proper communication actually is not always there, especially with companies with number of employees, thousands of employees, with varieties of nationalities, cultures, languages, so on. So it should be balanced. It should be well managed.
Yeah, and I think there's some common points coming across there. A lot of organisations maybe understand the service management vision, but like Karren said, they don't successfully take their people along with them on that journey. So you might have one set of affairs from the senior management perspective, and then everybody else doesn't really understand because, like Suresh says, they've just been dropped into a particular role, and maybe we've not communicated that properly. It's kind of at the forefront of my mind because it's where I'm doing a lot of reading at the moment, but looking at things like agile ways of working and scrum teams, and from a DevOps perspective, there's a lot more focus on small self-organizing teams of people who are very empowered and autonomous, and I think perhaps this is the way that the modern organisation is going, rather than these huge hierarchical structures where you've got your process and that kind of dictates everybody's role and what everybody needs to do. Something else that's maybe not so well defined is career paths for service management people and what skills we actually need to be effective. So that's something else I'd be kind of interested to discuss today, is what skills do we need to be good service management people? Mohamad just mentioned communication skills. What else is part of being a really effective service management person? What do you think?
Well,
one of the things I agree.
Go on, Karren.
Thanks, Patricia. I agree with what Mohamad said. I think communication is utmost, but I think on the other side of the flip side of the coin is also good listening and actually hearing skills, hearing what people are saying and listening and having empathy. We often, it's, communication and the listening, it's a two-way channel, and we often make it one way, and we even give people feedback, but we don't actually listen to what they're saying and understand what people's concerns are. So I think that's another important skill that people need to have as well.
Yeah, I'll go ahead if Patricia's waiting.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can take. Yeah, I totally agree with what Karren just said. We need to learn listening more, but to be able to listen to the others, we need to feel safe enough to do so. So for me, and again, it's not only ITSM. I think it's in business nowadays. Business is extremely competitive, extremely stressful for people. So. What I would name is personal mastery. We really need to work on ourselves to be able to manage our own emotions and our own thoughts, because that will give us the ability to listen to the others, to be good listeners, to be able to be empathic and things like that. So for me, and that's what a coach is doing, it's really personal development, is develop the ability for people to manage and to cope with their own emotions, to master their own emotions and their own thoughts, because this is where it all starts in our heads.
Yeah. So adding on to what Karren and Patricia said, I would look at the aspect of interpersonal skills. I think it's normally important when you start working across different teams. How do you actually communicate? How do you understand each other's cultures? The way of which is good, which is wrong. So interpersonal skills is one of the key aspects. The other one is the kind of sense of ownership. I think how many of us today are expecting things to be done when being told? So you need to take kind of collective ownership, accountability to try and do things. So that comes out with personal empowerment, right? You have to take that leadership. So interpersonal skills, empowerment, and leadership, like self-leadership, not waiting for someone to call the shots, but you take on that plunge to get things moving, are vital skills that have actually helped me as well as I've seen people transform the way that they've started their career to bloom in the service management and for that matter any field in terms of providing services or products to end customers.
Yeah, I would agree, especially on the getting people to take ownership of things, and again, there has to be the organisation around that allows that to happen. So people have to understand the scope of their accountability. Mohamad, what do you think?
I think the point starts. Actually, everyone is social. Everyone wants to be part of the community. So it's not always about communication skills types of education. Well, it should be there actually because it organizes the way that we communicate with each other. But again, we have to add skills that is important to the field itself, something like ITIL Foundation, ITIL Practitioner, ITIL Operation, and so on. These kinds of stuff actually eases the way of communication. Actually, it puts a certain common language between us and people in the same field. This is number one. Number two, actually, we need to involve the HR with us in such activities, because showing that this has been reflected to your career, to your file in our company, adds value. It increases the buy-in from the employee's perspective to add more. And the final point, I guess, is what Karren said, is the proper feedback. We always do surveys, we always do questionnaires, polls, but we don't let people feel that we are taking this seriously. We have to set up to set all together in frequent workshops to discuss what kind of obstacles we have been through, what are the possible solutions to overcome these cases, and so on. People should feel that they are part of the process, not they are part of the job only.
Yeah, and I think that's like we said, we've got 4 continents on the Hangout today, and I think it's quite interesting that we've got very similar perspectives coming back from across the globe. Some really common themes there. In terms of self-development as IT service management people, I was racking my brains really to kind of think about, well, what's available for us in terms of training, in terms of guidance. Thinking back across my career, I think a lot of the self-development I had came from being involved in a voluntary way with organisations like the ITSMF. So taking the opportunity to network and to learn and then to present and to kind of lead committees. And I think maybe that's where a lot of the people side of things came for me. Where can ITSM professionals go to kind of improve these skills? And I think, Suresh, we'll start with you, because what you're doing with Gaming Works is very interesting.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that I look at from a skill or competency development, right? I mean, first and foremost thing, you need to have a great mentor, right? Irrespective of which journey you are in, you need to have people who could show you practical experience of walking the talk. The ITIL books are great. It's all greatly written, endorsed in stones and stuff like that, but it doesn't work if it's not into the context of an organization. And if you look at the whole perspective in which organizations are looking at this, they want to look at people who are empowered, taking ownership, and taking self-responsibility to lead change. So you cannot really have change agents being brought in to create, a transformation. So if we want to empower this whole team as a point of high performance culture, then we need to address A, B, C. I think this is phenomenally important. You could have got great technical skills and prowess that you would say you've brought in people across the globe. But if you don't have the kind of a right attitude, behavior, and culture that is in alignment with the organization's strategy and vision, it's going to fail miserably. And that's why we always hear we have invested so much amount of money in training and workshops and leadership. You cannot do, because you don't understand the nature in which the organization or the people are operating. So it takes a different kind of a mindset to break down from the big shackles of 4 walls to come and see what really people want. And the vision has to be shared, which is very powerful. Together as a team, how do we achieve this happen, right? And take a balanced scorecard. It's all great in the papers from a CIO to boiling down, but how do we get my service desk person be a part of that particular game or vision to achieve the objectives? So it definitely involves a kind of an understanding of people's attitude, behavior, culture, and giving them something practical, and someone hand-holding them over the period of journey. It's very easy to say, to preach something, but to walk with them in tiny footsteps to reach them is a great way of doing that. So I would say it's a combination of all these factors which will help people to evolve more, looking upon someone as part of mentors and leaders and walking through this part. And I'm surprised always that people think there is a lot of shortcuts to get into getting those skills and proficiencies and competencies. You will have to live, you will have to undergo this kind of an experience to get yourself like Karren, who won the Lifetime Achievement Award. It's very easy said that, you know, everybody works, everybody contributes, but it takes a tremendous amount of effort, diligence and dedication to reach to that top. So having such kind of people in these kind of things help us inspire a lot more in this community.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think community in service management is an amazing thing. I mean, just looking at the mentors that we've got at ITSM Zone, it's sharing that experience and maybe helping people who are newer to service management kind of develop and take the next steps after the training. So attitude, behaviour, culture, yep, absolutely essential. Yeah, let's turn to our ITSMF Lifetime Achievement winner, Karren, and what have you got to say?
No pressure. I think there's, I think absolutely agree with what Suresh said. I think there's a number of things in terms of ITSM people developing themselves and the people management, people side of what they're going to need to do in their careers. I think Suresh just judged it's on the job, asking for feedback from your peers and colleagues, having established a safe environment to do that. So how can I as a person improve? Can I improve my communication skills, my listening skills, my managerial skills, and being prepared to accept that feedback and working on that. I think a lot of the things I learned from an organizational change management was a lot of reading from sources of like ProSci and ADCAR and Cotter. There's a vast amount of material out there that's some really practical advice on how to manage the people side of change and projects. But also I see people in organisations, it's usually sort of medium to large organisations, there usually is an organisational change management unit or business that a lot of people don't even know about, and I'd suggest to ITSM practitioners who are trying to do a change initiative or project is go and seek them out in their organisation if they can and leverage their input. So I need to communicate about this change I want to make, or I want to communicate about a new tool or a process improvement. Ask them how they would do it, and they'll start talking to you about senders and the messages and different channels and frequencies and knowing your audience, and you can learn so much by leveraging their knowledge as well. I tend to think in IT we tend to often be in a little bit of a bubble and a silo and try and go it all alone and not leverage the skills of other people.
Yeah, absolutely true, and I think getting the feedback and improving managerial skills is a really important point, because we have a lot of manager job titles within ITIL, change manager, service level manager. They're not maybe traditional management roles, and people perhaps don't have the skills that need to support them with that. Patricia, where do you think IT service management people can go to improve the skills?
I might repeat what Suresh said, actually. I quite agree with what he put on. I think that you do not learn soft skills in a classroom. So that's for sure. That's in life that you learn it. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
because I lose the video at times. Okay, so you don't only learn soft skills in a classroom, so you need to go out in real life. And that's where feedback is interesting. You just are with other people, learn to get that feedback, and the best way to learn that is with a mentor, with a professional. So learn to get feedback, have a coach, have mentors, have supervision groups in companies. So simply groups where, for instance, for an afternoon, people will sit together and will simply talk about the human aspect of the work. Where do I have difficulties in what I'm doing? That's extremely effective. That really is extremely effective, because then people can meet at a human level. We forget about the processes. We forget about all that, the technology and all this, and the management and all this. We are just people to people, human beings to human beings, because that's where the energy comes from, or doesn't come from our emotions, what's going on for us personally. And so it's quite important to be able to give feedback, to receive feedback, and you can do that pretty easily in group. With a professional, of course. So with a professional coach, with a professional mentor who facilitates this kind of meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coaching comes back to this point about feedback and getting specific types of feedback and helping to understand your goals. So, Mohamad, where do you think we can go as IT service management people to improve our skills?
Okay, from my experience, actually, from things I usually see and do, people are usually busy enough to give you feedback. Even if you request a survey, even if you request a questionnaire or poll or whatever, some of them will answer, some of them will be shy to answer, some they don't want to show you that they don't know, and some of them actually are busy enough not to respond. This is one point. How did I tackle that? Actually, I started by first thing doing by volunteering sessions, awareness sessions. What is ITIL? What is ITSM department doing? Good people, not bad people. Why we're not trying to make your life harder? So that by this activity, actually, I started to hear feedback from people. I started to hear things that we are doing something that takes longer time when we do this. And I started to actually to justify why processes are good. This is one point. The other point, by this kind of events that I do usually, I started to get people buy-in to this point. The other point is usually when we deploy something, when we deploy a new service or something, I go sit with the users as a regular user who's using the process. I see their pain, touch their pain, actually live with them for a couple of days. For a couple of days to actually hear what they are really complaining of. Some people are just lazy, they don't want to do their job, and some people, they are, yes, true, the process is a little bit complicated for them, or the process is really delaying them. Using the process could be better on the long term for the business to actually to serve more people compared to what we have.
Yeah, and I think there's some fantastic points there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time to kind of share any last-minute tips and experience, but what we've just discussed there, I think, is plenty for people to think about for their own organisation on a personal level and on an organisational level, because what's come across, I think, is that if you're not set up with a culture that encourages feedback, encourages learning, encourages development, then it's very difficult as an individual to try and improve and create change and drive change through. Very quickly, does anybody have any kind of last-minute tips for people?
I think I'd just follow on from what Mohamad said and get out there. Go and start to touch people and find out the pain they're suffering and understanding the impact that you're having.
Yeah, spending more time with the customers gets you a lot more links, and they are here to help you. So I would definitely agree with what both of them said, and spend a lot of time on ITSMF because it's a non-profit organization aimed at collaborating and sharing experiences. You learn a lot from there. So I would be a fan of it.
Yeah, nothing.
Sorry, Patricia, go on.
Go out and meet people, and when you face difficulties, just get the help of a professional mentor or of a coach to discuss the difficulty you just face, and that's the way you can learn how to manage the situation differently next time.
Mohamad, any last quick tips?
Yeah, actually, I would like to thank Karren for the point she mentioned about the having a separate department or section or whatever for organizational change. This is a very, very good point for the long term. Yes, really thank you guys. Thank you all, of course.
Okay, it just remains for me then to say a huge thank you to Karren, to Mohamad, to Patricia and to Suresh for joining our call this morning, and we will look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of the ITSM Crowd. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.